So where are we? We are in sprint 4. Shall we, guys? You there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
I could not get. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Screen is
Give
not
me
visible.
1 minute time. I could not able to find my Zoom options. Give me 1 minute time. What happened to my Zoom? Yeah, I'm back. Some issue here. Am I audible, guys? Shall we continue? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You
Yes,
can
ma'am.
see PPT. Some crash happened there as soon as I shared. All right. Fourth topic of JavaScript, and one more thing I want to say is it is one of the simplest topic, and the topic is not new to us. We already came across with this topic, but in JavaScript we are relating with that. Nothing but our validation, data validation. All right, it's time to think and tell. Imagine if a popular application such as Facebook accepts invalid email or date of birth on the sign up form. What do you think would happen then? The topic is about data validation. So this has been this I already introduced. In an application, there will be a requirement where we need to capture data from the user. So not only in registration form and login form and many more. You may register and you may be the registered user and you are sign in into your IRCTC or Swiggy or whatever the application or in Amazon. Even though after registration and login, further there will be places where you need to submit your data. You have to provide your data. Other than register and login, tell me where are the places we are providing the data to the application. So tell me where in an application user enters their details. So one is register form. Next is login form. What else?
When we order from Amazon, we have to enter our address.
Whenever if you are giving order details form. And and you have noticed or not?
On
Wait.
registration, ma'am, not ticket booking.
Yes, Vivek.
On ticket booking, ma'am.
Huh?
When we book the tickets in railways, we have to fulfill that data.
Providing, okay. Okay. So all the necessary information of ticket booking. Then you can think, all of you got my question. Apart from register and login form, where in a web application the user, you take, as of now, we are all client, we are all users to application.
For creating any government document like PAN card or Aadhaar card.
Okay. So there will be a place where you will provide all your personal information. Depend upon it, you will be providing your academic information, your work experience.
Account details.
Huh?
Survey.
I thought I will get plenty of answers. You
Account
take
opening in bank.
Huh?
In bank for account opening.
Account opening. So you take any application. Let's take account banking. So there will be account opening form. You need to fill the data. And whenever if you are doing a transaction, you have to provide the necessary details, starting from your account number, amount, PIN number, OTP, etc. And whenever if you want to view transaction also, you can relate with the applications. Likewise, ticket booking. It can be a travel ticket, a train ticket, flight ticket, movie ticket, and something related to your academics.
Then
All the places user will provide the data. I heard some answer.
license for license and some.
So all your government related application. Nowadays they are asking your what is this? So if you are into travel, so they will check your vaccination certificate, where you have to enter all your vaccination details. So there will be a requirement where you have to provide all the data. And if you have noticed, wherever the user is providing the data needs to be passed from client to server. So if the data needs to pass from client to server, it is possible only with the help of form tag. I already gave this topic. So surf about, you have to do tomorrow and day after tomorrow. So two methods of form, HTTP post method, and the other one is HTTP get method. Do you don't think these are all out of topic? No, soon we will discuss everything. So from client, the data needs to be passed. The data will pass via only form tag. So form is very powerful tag in the place of data providing. All right. So we will discuss about this data passing as well as data storage. Let it be. But as soon as the user provides the detail, the application needs to validate whether the detail is valid or not. You take all the applications which we are using. So they have provided example of Facebook. if you take any popular application, whether it accepts incorrect name, invalid email ID, incorrect date of birth, can any application, if you provide date as some 40, 50, will it accept?
No.
No,
So
ma'am.
without providing name, without providing email ID, will the sign up button will work?
No.
Not at all. So before taking this data from client to server, by the way, Monday, I'm going to introduce this client server architecture. So listen carefully. Before taking all the data to server, it's important you need to validate the data, because once if you take to server, it's unnecessary burden to my server. So it's very important whenever the user enters the data, you have to perform checking on the input at the time they have entered is a better approach. All right. So Gmail sign in. What happens when you hit login button without providing login credentials? If I don't provide username, if I click login, what will happen?
Password field is required.
They give a message.
So you will be getting an error message. Enter username, enter email ID. Sorry. You click login. Oh my God. It's a video, it's a flash. If you not enter proper email ID, if you click login, initially it checks for required field. Then it will check for regular expression, pattern matching, whether the email ID is proper or not. And nothing is new to all. We are all familiar with all these things. So initially you need to check whether it is empty or not. If it is empty, the respective error message. It is not empty. After that, you need to check the pattern. What if the checkout page of shopping website allowed you to select delivery option or payment before entering email ID? So I'm sure everybody experienced this. In Amazon or Flipkart, you will find once if you want to purchase an item, initially you have to provide all the detail and what type of delivery option, then payment. So without updating the first step, it will not enable the second step. Without second step completion, it will not allow you third step. If it allows, then it will be resultant as incorrecting and bad user experience. And nowadays we have this concept of disabling until otherwise the previous steps are complete. Then it allows the next step. Please relate. What will happen if you specify a return date prior to the travel date on a flight booking site? And this date choosing. So let's assume my travel date is 16th of June. Can I give return date as 1st June?
No.
So even if you noticed web application, it will disable the date. Have you noticed some application? They will be enabling, let's assume today if I want to book any hotel, so they will be enabling only from tomorrow. Have you experienced this? If I try to select the date, yesterday's date, day before date, I cannot able to select. Guys, can you relate?
Yes, ma'am.
Or some application, you open some application. If I log in, if I open today and if I try to book, so it will allow me to only choose on next month date. And if some application allows, for example, certain spot is allowed only for tourist on Saturday and Sunday, all the dates between Monday to Friday has been disabled. And one more functionality is always the return date should not be less than the from date, whatever. You will get this message. Who sends the error message when invalid credentials are entered? Who disables the payment link in e-commerce site before a proper email ID has been provided? Who disables the past date in online ticket booking application? Here I want to, okay, there were so many questions. And these are the questions. Who sends error message? Disable of step 3 until step 2 completes. Disables past dates. Okay. Whether these are all happening in client-side coding or server-side coding. By the way, tell me, HTML is client-side or server-side?
Client side.
Client side.
Client-side scripting. What about CSS?
Client side.
Client side.
What about JavaScript?
Client side.
Server side.
Server side.
Server side.
So JavaScript falls under the category both client-side and server-side scripting code. As of now, since we are using all our Java technology as a server-side scripting, we are gonna to use Java technology. I pronounced the word Java technology as server-side scripting. So we are gonna to use JavaScript as client-side scripting code only. So all your Java technology, starting from servlet, JSP, all your frameworks falls under the category server-side scripting language. Here the topic is validation. So let's assume I have enter username and there is a text box. Enter password and there is a text box and there is a login button. So there is, imagine like there is a login page. So I am entering username and I'm entering password. Then I click login button. Whenever I'm clicking a login button, the form data, both the username and password, needs to move from client page to server page. Let's assume I have not entered username at all and the username is empty. Or I have entered one single character in username and one single character in password. Do I want to send the data from client to server? Guys, are you getting my question?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's assume every day you are into LMS and you are providing your username, or the browser is having your username and password, you're clicking login button. So after clicking login button, it will take your username and password to server. Let's assume your username is blank and your password is blank, or you are entering let's assume blank or a single character. what will happen if it goes to server? Anyway, the server will validate your data. It will validate your username and password. If it is blank or it is holding incorrect valid, server is processing and it is sending back the response to client stating that incorrect username or please provide valid username. Don't leave username as blank. Username is mandatory. So if all the task is done by my server and it is sending back the response to my client, what will happen? Wait. Oh my God, 1 second, 1 second. I was searching for one slide. One second. Yeah. I'll again go back to the previous slide, but the discussion I made is here. So from my browser in the client side, irrespective of any data the browser is providing, the client is sending everything to server. And the server, it is sending, you have not even provided the username. Username is blank and the username is incorrect. The username is invalid. It is not at all a format of username. So what will happen to the load of server? I have been discussing about the load of server for longer time. If all the task is doing by my server, what will happen to the server load? Do you think you alone opening your NIT portal on every day? Do you think only we 30 of us is accessing this NIT.com? We are only one who is accessing the Zoom. Guys, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am, we are not the only one.
There were thousands and thousands of users. If each thousands of user, we need to check the username. We need to check whether it is valid or not. Then we need to compare with the database and we need to confirm whether it is correct username and password. Then the server load will be heavy. In order to reduce the load of the server, we have introduced the concept of client-side scripting, and exclusively the task, the client-side validation can be done. Name duplicates, validation is gonna to happen at client-side itself. The only reason is to reduce the server side load. So once if I have provided my username and password, before sending the username and password, client side itself, by using client side scripting, client side itself, we need to check whether the data is valid or not. And we are using client side script languages, JavaScript. So after checking both the data are valid format, then you need to send the data to the server. So post that data will be sending to server. And handling the server side data, everything we will discuss in upcoming sprint. Probably Monday, Tuesday, we will discuss. Can you relate? But before taking the data from client side to server side, we need to ensure the data is in valid format. Whether the data is there in a database or not, that we need to check with server side, no other go. So that is the reason of introducing this client side validation with the help of client side scripting. All right, let's get into the topic. These checks helps to add additional sanctity and more trust to the application. Are the checks required for better user experience? And these validations are not new to you. When you are doing your Code 7 Jukebox project, before submitting the data in a database, I want you to validate the data. All of you experienced with that? In the place of email ID, if I enter 1, 2, 3, it worked in your application. Is it or not? So validation is very important when you are handling user data. And all of you experienced this. In your Jukebox registration form, I told you to enter a number 5. And 5 is considering as an email ID and it is getting stored in a database, which is not correct. So before storing that number 5 in a database under email ID category, you need to check whether it is in proper format or not. So that we are going to do in this session. So we are going to validate user data using client-side scripting language called as JavaScript. Again, the big question mark arises, why we need client-side scripting? Let me ask to Priya. Priya, why we need client-side scripting? Why can't I do in server-side?
Because we can get the user's input information.
What are you? Talk a little bit louder. Why we need client-side JavaScript? Why can't we do in server-side?
Because of, we get the user's input, means information all when we log in part.
Ensure that all your words are clear. This is for everyone. Priya, your words are not at all clear.
Yes. Ma'am, client side means users, we get the user's input.
Yeah, in client side only, we will get the user input using input tag.
Yes.
Yesterday we told no addition of 2 text box value. Text box is very good example for input form control. All right, Rusikesh. Rusikesh, you there? Rusikesh.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
Why we need client-side scripting? Why can't I do with the server side?
Because, ma'am, here is server load. We check client side if this is the right input or not, and after that we send the server side. That's why server not taking the more load and more load.
All of you listen. I don't know what confusion. All the tasks, if you are in Amazon, if you are in Redbus, irrespective of any dynamic web application, when you are providing the data or if you are doing any task, everything is happening in server side only. When I provide my username and password, it is responsible for my server to check my username and password. All of you got this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Irrespective of any application. So if I want to view, if I want to do any sign in, anything, whatever the task I am doing, my server is responsible. Every time,
meaning
my
like
yes,
like
yes.
when we are doing authentication, it will be done by the server, and like if we are writing the name and it doesn't like it doesn't matches the number of character we should
correct,
write.
correct.
It should be.
So that is what why I'm going to tell you why. So everything, so if I entered my name, my mobile number, email and password, if I click continue, this data is going to send from my client to server via form tag, via form method. But I have not provided any detail. If I click continue, is it required to go to server? I am a client. I'm using Amazon. In order to get the message, enter your name, enter your mobile number. Do I want to go to server and come back?
No.
No, ma'am.
Actually, the answer will be yes if we don't have client-side scripting. Listen to me carefully. I said everything is happening on server. So this also should happen in server. But if I do all these tasks in server, think about the load of server. If I provide all the detail and if I click continue, the data needs to be stored in database. That is the biggest task of my server. But in order to get this lightweight functionality, enter your name, enter your mobile number, and the mobile number is incorrect, invalid format. So in order to provide that error message, see here, password must be at least 6 characters. If everything is doing by my server will get lot of load. I need to think about improving the performance of server. So these lightweight functionality, instead of giving this additional responsibility to server, so to check your name, whether whatever the name you have provided, it is in the valid format or not. To check that, the concept of client-side scripting has been introduced. One of the powerful client-side scripting languages, JavaScript. No other go. All the web applications are connected with server. That is I am accepting. But this lightweight functionality can be done in my browser side itself, client side itself. One of the lightweight scripting, concept is your validation. And we are doing with JavaScript. So that is what the name implicits, perform client-side validation. And once if there is a problem, I want to communicate the error for invalid input. So from the beginning, I'm discussing that the application is interactive, the application is dynamic. It also we need to provide a number of inputs. That is very important. Before taking the data to server, we need to check the valid of data. So that thing you can ensure the data is valid or not with the help of client-side scripting language, JavaScript. So you can do both the activity. One is validating the data and communicating the error if it is invalid. Shall we get into the topic? Introduction is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is common between social networking site, your Instagram, Facebook, e-commerce site, your job portal, and your online learning site?
Login
You
and
have to log.
register card.
Yes.
Login part.
Register and log. Very good. Everywhere you need to register, then only you can be a registered user. And you need to do login every time. And then come on.
Client of server.
And think logically. If you take one common thing is, as you all said, register and login, taking the input from the user. And second thing is some request is coming from the user client. Based on the request, the applications are providing the response. So if it is social networking site, this post, everything, the user is going to post something and the social application is taking that. E-commerce site, based on the user's request, the products are getting displayed. So on. Job portal, it will accept the job request of the user. All these site allows users to interact with the site by providing input, not only register and login. There were a lot of places where we are providing input. Accepting, all of you accept this point.
Yes, ma'am.
You take this online learning. Apart from login and register, I have to provide my technology, the topic I want to learn from the site. User needs to provide input. So role of JavaScript in processing user input. JavaScript helps to process the user input, reading the input. So JavaScript will read the input, whichever the input form, text box, check box, radio button, select box. And then it needs to validate the input. After validation, upon the requirement, it will display error. Assume like all values are valid. I don't want to display errors. It's very, very important. Please look into this order. I want to read input. After reading the input, I want to validate the input. This validation will decide either displaying error or posting the data to server. Both will not happen. If there is an error, it will not go to posting of data. This will not happen. This posting data alone, we will discuss in upcoming sprint. We shall be discussed probably on next week. All of you clear with the order? So it will validate, either it will display if it is incorrect. If it is correct, it will post the data to server. JavaScript allows you to reduce clutter on pages by creating elements on the fly. So if it is required, it will display and will create. And if it is required, it will show and hide form part. This is new. We will be discussing two topics today. One is this validation. The other one is the second part. Creating element on the fly. On an HTML page, depend upon the requirement, the elements will be displayed, visible, and it will be hidden. Show and hide some form part. Right. Flow diagram for processing user input. So we will start. We will capture input. We will validate. If error exists, we will communicate the error. And again, we continue in capturing the input. If there is no error, we will save the data. We will take the data and we will send it to server. Server will save the data and we will close the transaction. So whatever we discussed in theory, the same is given in this flow diagram. Is that clear? Shall we continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Jai Shri, Jitesh.
Yes, ma'am.
Priyanka.
Clear, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's discuss on how to capture user input. I can see some four learners have joined the session some 5 minutes back. So guys, we are in 4th sprint. This sprint is about validating the user data. Listen. So how do you think JavaScript captures input? I need answer from
Prompt.
you. Very good.
Using input.
Can I capture an input from HTML to JavaScript?
No.
If we
Oh my God.
input and then
Yeah.
that script.
So no other go. In web application, we will be dealing only with HTML. In HTML, I will have all the form elements. Best example is text box. Even I can provide inputs in radio button. There is a gender category. We will provide with radio button. Even checkbox. These are all input controls. Form element, particularly input. So I will be providing, I will be launching my HTML page. So from HTML page, can JavaScript able to capture all these inputs?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. If we use get
JavaScript.
or post.
Very good, very good. JavaScript captures HTML input using. The question is in front of you. The answer is
DOM.
DOM. Who is that on unmute? Sikesh. All of you agree with the answer? The topic which we discussed in last sprint. So DOM. DOM and its associated methods. By using that, you can able to capture user input from HTML to JavaScript. And yeah, by this way. So I want all of you to take a minute and go through either by variable or by property value pair. So in JavaScript, we will declare a variable document.getElement by ID, ID name, HTML ID name dot value.
In right side, there will be an object type now, ma'am. Capture value is a property value.
Yes, someone said something.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
right,
Abdul.
Right side, it will be an taking object now, ma'am.
Correct. Yeah, I'm coming. The other thing is same. Let's assume I have username, I have email ID, and I have password text box. So this is one way. Get element by ID. The other way is also get element by ID. Instead of one single variable, we are capturing it as object. So I am capturing it in an object contact info. And my key name is username. And the value, whichever the value I entered will be the value. Email ID is a key, contact number is a key. Anyway, in later part of JavaScript, I can able to handle either via single variable name or by using object dot key name. So please analyze both the part. Anyway, I want to use it. Later, if I want to validate my username, email ID, password text box, I will do either by variable or contact info dot username. Any doubt? We will be handling by this way. Again, I'm repeating, this is individual variable via, and this is object type, key property value. And we have been with this topic. So last 2-3 days. And both the things can be done only with the help of DOM and its methods. So we will always use document.getElement by ID. So HTML form elements can be accessed with ID. So it would be easier instead of having individual variable name. I'm repeating, it would be strongly recommended to use this property value pair. So store all the details in one single property as its object, and you can differ the value via key. So that let's assume I want to store the data in my server. If it is on the left side, I want to use username, email, password. But what will happen to right hand side? Only I'll be passing contact info. So this right hand side is more recommended in JavaScript. Shall I go to next slide? This is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So even because we will not deal with, have you experienced with any of the form elements? Wait, I'll show you. You will not find 3 data or 4 data. You will be finding some 15, 20 data. Wait. So after providing all your details for registration, have you built your profile? At the time of building your profile, it will ask everything, your from academics, complete information about your academics. There will be some applications where you need to provide lots of form. So if it is experience, you need to provide all your experience details. So it is always recommendable to use JavaScript object and store in a form of property key value pair. All right, let's perform validation. This is what happening. A developer often has to make the choice between server-side validation and client-side validation. Understand the implication of both these types of validation is crucial. So now have you got the picture of client-side validation? Can I do this checking the data is provided or not? Even the username is empty. It's 0 length. I can do that in server side also. But in order to improve certain performance factor, to reduce overheads of your server, if everything is happening on server response will be slow. So network traffic, congestion, latency, so many issues will be there. So that is why this validation is happening in our client side. Is that clear? Shall I go to next? So before taking the data to server, you perform a client-side validation using JavaScript. That's all. The solution is in front of you. Richa, you there? Richa is not there.
Yes, ma'am.
Richa, you there? Can you read
Yes, ma'am.
client-side versus server-side validation? Can you read all the points? Ramya, you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, dear.
Client side validation. Shall I read, ma'am?
Yes, Richa, I think there may be some problem with your audio. I don't know, network issue. So Ramya, you go ahead with the difference.
Okay. Client side validation. Client side validation is immediate validation. When come to server side validation, it makes network calls.
Wait, what do you mean by makes network call? Anyone? Can you give a try?
Transfer the data to the server.
So it needs to check
From
for all the
encryption,
connection.
decryption.
Yes. So network call, it needs to search for network. I should have an internet. On top of my internet, all my protocols needs to be enabled. and it needs to make a call from client to server and it needs to perform. But here it happens in browser side itself, client side itself, no call, nothing. Yes, Ramya.
In client-side validation, not all validation needs server support. When it comes to server-side validation, it increases the server workloads and hence the latency.
So wait. So server is not required to validate some client side, mandatory input, length of the input data. First one is mandatory, I have to provide. In Jukebox, I provided only 5, 1, 2, number 2, number 1. So it needs to check length of input data and strength of the password and the format, all your pattern, credit card number, account number, Aadhaar card number, PIN code number. Whereas certain things needs to be done at server side. Yes, Ramya, go ahead.
In client-side validation, examples are required field validation, length validation, pattern validation, compare password validation. Where comes to server-side validation, examples are credit card validation check, user validation check. These checks need to verify authenticity of these data.
Thank you. Authenticity of certain details needs to be done only at server side. Remaining all basic validation you can do at client side itself. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Whomsoever I'm asking, please respond. Sodit, you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Read the question and answer.
Comparing password and confirm password field in client-side validation or a server side. Ma'am, comparing password is a client side and confirm password is a server side. Because
You have not even understood the question. You have misunderstood the question. In our registration form, there will be something called as enter password, enter, re-enter your password and confirm password. So both the password needs to be matched.
yes, yeah, ma'am.
That is client side or server side?
Ma'am, that is client side.
Okay, others, is it correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do I want to compare anything in database server side for this?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am.
I am providing, for example, any password, Apple at 123. And in the same another text box, I'm providing Apple at 123. So the first entry and second entry is available in client side itself. I don't want to go to server side. So password and confirm password is example for client side validation only. Whereas credit card validity, let's assume I'm entering credit card number. Credit card expiry date is there in a database. So I need to do that validation in server side. Can you relate with these two examples?
But ma'am, password is also stored in database, no? So
Yeah, that's what. You have misunderstood the question. The question is only enter a password and re-enter the password.
Okay.
That registration form.
This
They
is
will
not
ask password
checking
twice.
the password, right, ma'am?
Huh?
This is not
Wait.
checking the password.
Not checking the password.
Okay.
Right. They were asking about this. Enter old password, enter new password, confirm new password. So entering new password and confirming, both the password needs to match. So in order to compare this password and confirm new password, do I want to go to server?
No, ma'am.
No,
That is what the question. The question is not for login password. Enter new password and confirm new password. So moving on to the next. Yeah, let's get into our scripting. How to do all the validation. We discussed so many things and nothing is new according to me. Only thing is whatever we know, you need to convert that into JavaScript syntax. So validate input, single input can be validated for multiple validation criteria. This point is very, very important. I have something called as enter username. Do you think only one validation I need to apply for this username? No, depend upon my requirement, I will apply n number of validation check. So initially I'll check
length.
And you take mobile number. So let's assume you compare with the right hand side. If username, what is this triple equal to? Have you analyzed this?
Origin.
Strictly to equal to identity operator.
So double equal to and triple equal to both are comparison operator in JavaScript. Double equal to will check only for the value, comparing the value. Triple equal to will compare the value as well as it should be of same data type. Is that clear? Both are comparing. I can compare 10 equal to equal
Same
to 10.
data type.
Same type of data. Data type.
Ma'am, but like when I did like study about it today, it for objects it was like if object have some value, it like they wanted to check if it was in the same location where it is, like in checking for.
That is also not new to you. If I compare 10 and 10, it will compare the data type. When it comes to array or when it comes to object, what it will compare?
Memory location.
Memory location.
Yes, ma'am, for objects. Yeah, memory location.
And for null reference also. So double equal to only for value comparison. Triple equal to for type checking. It includes both primitive as well as object type. All right, coming to the topic. If you take where I am, username. So initially I need to check username is not empty or not. This is my first validation. And then for same username, I need to check the length should be greater than 30. If it is greater than 30, I need to throw error message. Always it should be less than or equal to 30. I cannot provide more than 30 characters. Then I want to display error message. Same thing is applicable for mobile number. So my mobile number should not be empty as well as it should consist of 10 digits. And the 3 conditions. And the 10 digits should be on certain pattern. So 3 conditions I can apply for mobile number. So it should not be empty. It should hold 10 digits and 10 digits should of certain format. And it's very important. I cannot communicate all the error to client. I have to communicate only the relevant errors. I have provided username, but the length is greater than 30. I don't need to provide this error message. Only this error message is required. It's very important what error you need to communicate to user based on the validation result. That is also important. And this is also not new to you. In your web application, you may come across with 2 types of error messages. One is alongside the error message. The other one is summary of all the error message. Have you experienced these type of errors?
Yes.
One is
Yes, ma'am.
summary. The other one is individual error message. Or you will get both. So how to give summary and how to give individual error message. So let us discuss. Any other difference you can say for this individual error and summary?
Highlight the text box.
Summary is a list.
Font.
Yeah, coming into programming,
Summary
we
is
will
list.
use unordered list only. I have to use list and I need to fill all the good thinking that we'll be discussing on JavaScript coding. Any other general difference?
In left hand side, the validation is done for every text box.
Ma'am,
And then the right
Right,
hand,
right.
the validation is done once or after filling the form.
After clicking the submit button. Good. Correct.
in summary one, ma'am, it is telling us first what we need to do. Then it is asking user to give the inputs.
No. What did you said in summary?
In summary, ma'am, in the form of list, it is given that what needs to be done, and then you can fill up the form.
So preferable is, I'll say this one. This is also preferable. When it is a big, okay, when is most important. So if it is a simple registration form with some 5 fields, we will prefer alongside input element. Let's assume we have 25 fields. So both of them, wherever it is required, you can use. But here you need to wait until you click submit and it will display all. And depend upon that, you have to relate where I want to go, what is happening. But here you will get an error message as such. When you provide an incorrect value, along with the text box itself, it provides the error message. So mostly we will see these kind of thing, some 75% of application. And few we will handle this kind of summary, validation summary.
These days, ma'am, most of the websites have exclamation marks. When we hover over it, it says what
Required field, yeah. All right. So we will gonna to replica this. I have a demo and it's a complex demo. So please pay attention. Even though it is a big demo, but concepts are not new, so you can relate it. But please pay attention. Let's replica this error validating the user input and displaying both alongside input element and validation summary in one example. So write a validation code to validate the input provided by the user on feedback form. Error should be communicated if the validation fails. So please pay attention. It's a big form. It's a very big form. Yeah, we have HTML, we have CSS, styles has been applied, and you have to do validation in your script page. So I'm requesting all of you to look into line number 17, starting from form. So we have a form tag. So form is having ID. Action is equal to hash. So that means depend upon your return on submit result, your form will come back to the same page. So ID is a unique reference of this form page. So action is where I want to go. Let's assume this is index.html. If I want to go to demo1.html, what will happen? What is this form action? So after filling all the details, when I click submit, from index page to where it will go?
Demo
It
one.
will go to demo1.html. So, but I don't want to go to demo1.html. I want to stay in the same page. So for that, we will use this hash symbol. And this is an event. When the form is submit, what we need to do. So when I am submitting the form, it has to go to submit feedback method, and whatever the result I'm getting, the value will be returned and it will be stored here. We are returning a Boolean value, true or false. I'll repeat. I'm going to provide input data. The client details I'm going to provide. So always the user data, all the input data will be enclosed inside form. Form will helps you to have a dynamic page when it comes to data handling. Without form, I cannot able to pass the data to server. So form is mandatory for all the input. So we are giving unique ID name. How we have HTML element ID. Likewise for form, we are giving an ID attribute to represent the form element. And when I submit the form, it has to come to the same page. And when I click submit, when I submit my form, it has to go to JavaScript submit feedback method. And we have heading, and we have username text box. And the text box is filled with this placeholder message. Enter username. What is this placeholder?
Behind it.
Inside the text box.
It is a text box watermarker. When I keep a mouse cursor and type something, this will disappear. I'll show you. This is an example for, see here. On top right corner, you will find a text box where you will find search OS. Can you see this? So what will happen if I keep a mouse cursor here? And if I start type it, automatically the placeholder will disappear. If there is null, if I not type anything, I will have this placeholder. So that text can be achieved in a text box with the help of placeholder. You all can try. So input, I'm giving an input. The name of the HTML element is username. ID is also username. And I'm giving a placeholder, enter username. So followed with small tag. Have you analyzed? Have you used the small tag? That explanation is there in a tooltip. In an HTML page, if I want to represent some side comments, some small amount of text, if I want to display on my HTML, I can use this small element. You can also go for input element. I'm sorry, label element. Sorry, not input, label element. Label is a form of output message control. We can also use small element. And we are giving ID as username error. So by the way, if there is any problem with my input, I will be displaying the error message in my small element. That is why I am using this ID reference. So by using this ID in my JavaScript, I'm going to load an error message here. Same thing I'm repeating for email ID. I'm repeating for contact number. I'm repeating for product details, comments, and date. So if I give input type equal to date, what will happen?
Ask for dates.
A date box.
Sorry. You will get a calendar.
Yeah, sorry.
Instead of a regular text box, it will display a calendar. So that's all. And we have a unique ID and we have some message and there is a button and I'm linking my JavaScript file. I'll show you the output. So enter username, there is a placeholder. So when I about to type a single character, my placeholder will disappear. If it is empty, it will fill with enter username, enter email ID, contact, and this is comment. You will be finding the difference between this text box and this text box because of Because of what? Line number 42.
Text
I have
area.
not text area. So text area is a multi-line text box. Even you can copy a big paragraph, but here you can type only 255 characters. And this is also a text box, but we provided a type as date. So you will get a calendar. And what is the speciality here? Guys, what is the speciality of this control? Have you noticed anything?
Roughly.
It is showing the previous date only.
So till today day alone, it is enabled. From tomorrow's date got disabled because I'm going to use it for feedback entry. Enter purchase date. I cannot purchase tomorrow and I can give a feedback. So they have disabled tomorrow's date. Till today date alone, it is enabled. That we will discuss. So this also done. This is also one validation we did with JavaScript. HTML page is clear. Shall we go to JavaScript? And by the way, there will be one submit button. So if I not provided any detail, if I click submit, I should get this error message. This is validation summary and this is individual validation error message. And how this date is having only what is this? Date, month, year, and till today alone, the date got enabled. All these things has been done with the help of JavaScript validation. HTML page is clear.
Only one doubt, what does that small tag do?
So by default, we are hidden. Your small tag is hidden. If required, the error message username cannot be left blank. This message has been displayed to the user, the output message, with the help of control called as small. You can do that with the help of label tag also. Small tag defines smaller text, like some message, some comments if you want to add. Adesh, is that clear?
Yes.
You can use any other, even if you want to use with div, if you want to use with label, as I said, label. So they have given a CSS property as it should come in italic. Since it is a validation error message, it is holding red color and size is small. So I don't have any text in my small element. So that is what it has been. Nothing is there in your, along with all your small tag. What I'm going to do is in my JavaScript, if there is any validation, if it is returning any error message and it is returning false, I want to fill all the small tag with the respective message. All those things are decided in my JavaScript page. So please, I want all of you to look into three things. So one is the submit feedback form method and this input ID and the small ID. That's all. We are going to refer these three things in our JavaScript. Shall I go to JavaScript page?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
One second. All right. So let's go to JavaScript. So I told you to remember three things. One is submit feedback form method and all these ID of my text field and ID of this small HTML element. So it will go to submit feedback method. So let's get into JavaScript code. Listen carefully. 1 second. Yeah. What is this line number 1?
Empty array.
Correct.
Priya, what is this line number 1?
Empty array.
All of you accept this. We are creating an empty array feedbacks. Initially, the array is empty. Later, we will add those error messages. And what was the method name? Submit feedback. So when the environment got submitted, when the feedback, this form gets submitted, it will enter into the method submit feedback. Are we passing any parameter? No. There is no input parameter, but we are returning a result. And what is the result? We will discuss. Let's go one by one. Whomsoever I'm asking, please respond. Anuj, you there?
Yes.
Tell me what is this line number 4? Anuj, I'm waiting for your answer.
When we are taking input from
We are taking
Just
input
storing.
from
user and storing in form data.
I need a correct explanation. Ashmita, you want to give a try? What this line number 4 does?
We are declaring a variable.
Very good. And what we are assigning to the variable form data?
Document.get element by feedback form.
What is this feedback form?
Feedback form.
It is a DOM. We are referring with DOM element. HTML document dot get element by dir feedback form. And by the way, feedback form is nothing but form ID. So this entire form data, all the form inputs, I am retrieving and I am storing it in a variable form data.
Okay, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
And this feedback form is holding. It's a form. It consists of n number of inputs. So those inputs I'm converting into object. And what, irrespective of any format, it's a DOM element, irrespective of any format, I have all the inputs. I am converting into an object and I am storing it in an object feedback. So we have a method called as object.fromEntries. Listen carefully. Object.fromEntries, it's a method. It transforms a list irrespective of any form of data I'm providing. It converts that into object. So I am having an HTML form, feedback form, all the data. It will be available in any form. I want that to be in a key value pair where JavaScript will support. So in order to translate my HTML form to my object type of JavaScript, we are using a method called as object.fromEntries. Please look into the demo. So entries is equal to new map of, it is a map, and this map is holding two arrays, array of array. So I want to convert this array of array to object, JavaScript object. So in order to convert this map array of array to object, we can use object.fromEntries. So when you try to print the object, see the output. What is your understanding here?
We convert it into the object.
The array first value will be converted as key and the second value considered as a value. See here, colon separator. We converted array of array to objects. So likewise, all HTML form element, form data, I'm going to convert as an object and I'm storing it in feedback. Wait, I'll show you. Console.log of feedback. Look carefully. Got it. So let me enter. Product purchased. Well, good. The product is purchased yesterday. Wait. What, this page is getting refreshed. 1 minute. One second, the page is getting refreshed. I just wanted to show you what is there in the feedback.
Ma'am, remove the hash, ma'am. Action.
It should not refresh. And I have not saved my page. Wait. See, I just wanted to show you all the feedback form entries are captured and it is converted to object and I can display this key value pair. But it's a dynamic page, no? So the page is getting refreshed. Or let's see. No, it is getting refreshed.
Return, Sangeeta, you do return false.
Let's try. Okay, let me enter some details. No, I can show this key value there. One minute.
Otherwise, prevent default. Let me see what is.
So I thought I can show this key value. So I can relate with this key value later. I'm not returning anything. Or one second. I'll try in the other way. Feedback dot. Let me provide some detail and I will submit. See the pages.
Can you try with
No, it's a form control. It is taking this session thing. It is automatically refreshing when I give some. That is a problem. Even some time back, I saw empty data.
See, because it is on submit, no, that's why. If it is a normal click button, it will not. It will work.
Shall we try that? So instead of
on click, you do. You just comment this one.
Somewhere or other, I think.
On submit, you call this function.
On click, let me call submit feedback. No. It's taking undefined.
Then it is
let
empty.
Me, even though it has to provide null and somewhere I'm missing.
Go for not go for submit. Go for button. Input type button.
Yeah. It's taking only object.
Is window dot, can you remove the window dot, only submit feedback?
Yeah. Or we can use for each and we will traverse with a let it be there.
Okay.
Because it's taking long time. So whatever the form data, all the feedback form entry will be captured and it is converting to object and it is storing in feedback. And that feedback we are passing as a parameter to submit data. And submit data is returning a result. That result is a Boolean value, either true or false, and that we are sending back to the called function. One last try. Okay. Fine, guys. This instead of object, last try. Can we try with do I pass any parameter to for each?
No, for each it will
No,
not
guys,
take.
no, guys, please respond. Do we want to pass any parameter to for each? Refer as notes and tell me.
One.
Refer day before yesterday notes and tell me, do I want to pass parameter?
No, ma'am.
Values equal to-
Yes, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
If yes, what is the parameter I want to pass?
One.
Callback function. That is why I defined a callback function, and this will take value first and then index. So the speciality of callbacks is no parameter, nothing. One last try. I know the session is getting expired. So it is not taking under for each. Since it is an object, it is not taking. So this for each will work for what? For each is a function which is used to, but it has to work for array. We tried for array. Let's try for object also. The reverse. Guys, can you relate? I can show the output, but in the form of array. All right, this is what I want to show you, but in the form of object, not in the form of array. Guys, are you there? Are you traveling along with me? You don't need to try anything,
Yes.
just listen. So I thought whatever the data I am entering into a HTML form, if I give submit, these data is getting passed and we are capturing via DOM feedback form ID and we are storing it in a variable form data. Further to that, form data is converting into object and we are storing it in feedback. I thought, let me show you the feedback, but I could not able to show feedback, but I can able to show that in a form of array. So if you look into this, all the HTML element has been captured and it came to JavaScript. So one is you can work via index methodology. The other one is you can work via object key value pair, and the key will be the ID name and the value will be the entry which you are entering on this text field. Shall I proceed with the third line? First line and second line is clear, and this is used to convert object to an array, and this line is to convert from one form to object form. This is a conversion function for object and this is a conversion function for array. And last try, else I'll continue with this feedback alone. It is not displaying an inner array. It is displaying. Oh, now it is working. God, same thing I have tried some time back, but I don't know what is the problem. For the last 10 minutes, I want you to display this 9th line. Some simple console.log of feedback. What is there in feedback? All my feedback form data in the form of object type. Have you noticed what are all the object type? Let me enter all the details. God, what is happening? Now it is working.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
This I want to show before I am proceeding to the next block. So after entering all the detail in my HTML, when I give submit or form submit, the data is passed from HTML to JavaScript. We have captured. It is not passed. We have captured, and we can convert that to array, as well as we can convert that to this is the latest one. We can convert that to array type. So array is taking index. We can also convert that to object type. So I just wanted to show username : my input, purchase date, product, email, contact number, comment, and the respective value. So what will happen if I not enter my username and if I give submit? It will take
none.
Empty. Null value. So if it is null value, what I need to do?
Print error message.
I need to validate the value and I need to display error message. That is what is happening on left hand side. All right. See here, if my username is null, empty, email ID is empty, and contact number is one single digit, then I want to throw appropriate error message. So I just wanted to show you via DOM, we captured all the value and the values can be either converted to array or object type. And each object is referring with the respective key. This is what I tried. It should come some 10 minutes back itself. I don't know. Okay, I'm continuing. I know I made so many lines. This is what the actual line I added. Line number 7. This is to convert to array. I'm printing an array and I'm printing, what is this? My object type. Shall I proceed to 9th line? Guys?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not something new. We were been traveling. I was the one who took this array and object topic for you all. Only thing is, yesterday we came across with this DOM API. All right, what we are doing is we are sending this object key value pair, the entire key value pair, the entire object. See here, this entire object. Key value pair. We are passing to a method called as submit data. One more method. These are all optional only. I can remove. And this let is also optional. We don't have rules in JavaScript. So I am passing this object key value pair to another method called as submit data, and submit data needs to return the result. Shall I continue from 9th line to 14th line?
Ma'am, in this 5th line, what is the new capital form data?
We are converting our DOM element, a variable, to an object, form data object, so that it will capture all my form values, whatever the form data. See here. It provides an easy way to construct key value pair representing all the form field as well as value.
Okay.
So we are passing it. You can capture via any name. So it is not required. You need to capture as a feedback. This is just a parameter, and here we are capturing it. Instead of feedback, you can give any name. So we are passing an input. So that is why this arrow function, before arrow, we are taking that parameter input. And here it is my body part. Listen carefully. So what we are doing is, again, we are creating an error object. Let error object. Let is also an optional, not required. Errors is an object. Why? Because of this curly braces. So error is an object and it is holding key value pair. Totally 6 key. And what is the value? Whomsoever I am asking, please respond. Jitesh, you there? My object, my error object is having 6 key. And what is the value for username error? Jitesh, you there? I am in line number 18. You need to tell me what is the value of this username error. Jitesh. If you know, you say, else say, ma'am, I didn't get an idea. I don't know. Make it fast. No idea. Very good. Ravi.
Feedback.username.
Feedback.username. Before that, we have one more thing.
It's a function, ma'am.
Very good. I was expecting this. So errors is one more object which is having 6 key, and the values we need to get from function. Here it is a function call. We are calling a function validate username, and what we are passing as a parameter?
Feedback.name.
The data you captured, or let's assume the input data which you captured. So if I entered Hasib in the first text box, it will take Hasib and it will pass to the method validate username. Same thing is applicable for all the 6 values. Yeah. Shall we proceed to the function validate username? It is a function. And for this function, we are passing the first text box value. Either it can be an empty or whatever the value I'm entering. So we are capturing as a whole and we are storing it in an feedback object. And that feedback I'm passing and I'm capturing as input data. In input data, we are taking a key username so that no value will be passed to validate username. It's a function. And this function return value will be stored in this username error key. So let me go to that method. The method is there in line number 48. I'm sorry, not 48. Line number 74. Simple. So this validate username is a function. We are calling here this function and we are passing that username. Either it will take that value Hasib or empty. So what will happen if I enter empty? I don't enter Hasib. If it is empty, what we need to do?
Function gets called.
Here it comes the actual validation. So I'm taking my username, the value which I passed from that object, my text box value. If it is empty, if it is undefined, if it is null, what message I want to return?
Cannot be left at blank.
Username cannot be left blank. If it is filled with some value, I will return empty. So either empty or username cannot be left blank will be sent to this particular line. Is that clear? So whom name I called? Jitesh, is that clear now? It's a function call, and whatever the value it will return. Either it will return this or it will return empty. Same thing is applicable for email. Email, contact, product, command, and purchase date. So we are doing validate email. We are capturing an input and we are checking whether it is in this format or not. Before that, we need to check if else. If it is empty, I want to add this in an error message. See here. So email error is a variable where we can add multiple messages. Email error is equal to email error plus. Email cannot be left blank. Why I want to use arithmetic assignment?
Concatenate the email error.
Yeah. So if it is empty, this message, if it matches with the regular expression, and if it is not matching, I don't have @ symbol, I don't have dot, as simple, email ID is not in the proper format. At that time, it will throw this error message.
Ma'am, what about that arithmetic symbol? Can you explain that again?
Huh?
What about that arithmetic symbol? Can you explain that again?
I will not explain this. This is not the situation. We are not in the thing to explain this arithmetic assignment, my dear. These are all fundamental operators of Java. When we discussed about these operators on week one.
That I understand, ma'am, like in concatenate, but why we need to do that?
You make a note, find it out. I think it's on secondary. No.
Not required, ma'am, I understand.
Oh my God, when did we discuss?
And it could be in the post increment and the post decrement section.
I think it's after loops.
Okay, where I am? So the specialty is initially email error is empty. Email error is empty. The error message is empty. If it matches with this condition, it will add this, it will concatenate. If it is not matches, then no problem. It is not empty. I am giving Hasi balloon. It is not matching with this pattern matching. At the time, if it is not matches with the pattern, it will add invalid email. Either my email error will be empty or this error message or this error message. Not concatenating all the three. No, either empty or this or this. So it can be email cannot be left or invalid or it can be empty. Moving on to the next, contact number. So contact number, same, initially it will be empty. If any of the condition not matches, my error will be empty because I don't have a problem. If I don't have a problem, it should be error message should be empty. If there is any problem only, the error message should be filled with the appropriate error message. So this is a valid regular expression to check on this format. It should be 10 digit and it can be any of the format. And if it is empty, it has to throw this error. If you don't have a problem, you provided a proper 10 digit contact number, then your error message will be empty. So moving on to the validate product, if it is empty, then it will throw this error message. If it is proper, then it will return a blank error message. I don't have any error. It's blank. Error is blank. Same thing is applicable for comment. So comment should not be empty and comment should not exist 70 characters. None of the conditions serves. My error message remains empty. And this message, either this error message or empty, will be stored in errors, respective keys. Got it? It looks like lengthier one, but it's a simple thing. So we are calling just function and we are validating. The function will return either error message or an empty. At last, if everything is empty, you can proceed with continuation. If any of the errors where errors object is holding other than empty some error message, then I have a problem with this form. I should not post the data to server. This is a concept behind this validation. All right, I will continue for product, comment, and very important, date. So always I need to fill the date. If the date is empty, then I don't have a problem. Error message is empty, I don't have a problem. But if the date is empty, then the error will be filled with the value. So I want all of you to look into line number 140 and 142. So by DOM, I am capturing this purchase date text box. What I'm doing is it should not be null. It should not be null. And I want, if it is not null, I want to set purchase date dot set attribute. I want to set, by default, the date control is having maximum and minimum. You experience this. If I set maximum here, let's assume in my date, I'm setting maximum date as today. And also I can set minimum date as some date in the last month. Only these two dates gets enabled in my date property. All of you got this attribute max and min? Date, input type date is having two more attributes, max and min. Max and min stands for maximum date and minimum date. So if you look into this output, so minimum date I don't want, but maximum date should be. What should be the maximum date?
Today's date.
Today's date. So we are setting that set attribute. So in my control, in my HTML control, I am setting the attribute. What attribute? Max attribute. Can I go for maximum? Can I use maximum? Can I use the word maximum? Yes or no? Tell me, do we have anything called as maximum attribute for date?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, max.
We are setting for attribute. Only we have max. So that is why we are using max. For my date attribute max, I am taking today's date. Only ISO string. I'll show you. So I am taking today's date. What will happen if I take today's date? It will come with both date and time. In that, I don't want time. I want only date. So I am using split function. Wherever I found the character T, I should stop and I should take the 0th index. I'll show you. So I want to set that alone to my purchase date. So if I give, okay, listen. Guys, it is not complex. Can you see if I give the date, new date of ISO string, what would be the date I will get? So I'll be getting 2022, 2022, 0708 T, and I'll be getting time. 1600. Are you with me, guys? So this is what the output I will get. But do I want to display time?
No, ma'am.
No.
I want only this date. So I am using split function. From where I want to split? I want to split with the character T. So I will be getting, listen carefully, I will be getting this as my date of 0 index, because left hand side will be an array. And this will be our first index, date of 1. So I am taking only 0th index. So the date alone will be displayed on my text box, date text box. Is that clear? So I am getting only date. Why I am not getting time? Because we truncated. Shall I show time also? So I should get two date of. Have you came across with this function before in Java? Date is equal to new date of.
Yes, ma'am.
We thought let's get the time also. 1 minute. If it is null, I will update 1 second. When the date is not equal to null, I think this function is not triggering. I'll call you in a I will call this function in a separate HTML page. let me finish off this validation concept. I'm not splitting. Wait. Should come. If it is null, guys, this date part alone we will discuss some time back. I will work on this date and I'll show you only with time and only with date, or both date and time. Are you traveling with me?
Yes, ma'am.
So you
Yes,
got
ma'am.
it. It is taking time. I need to change all the property. Maybe it is, since the event is associated with submit form, submit feedback and submit form data. Maybe it is not triggering, but I will copy paste this in a separate HTML and I'll execute it.
Okay, ma'am.
Every time this errors object is calling the respective function. So we have 6 function call and each function is returning a respective error message, and those error message are storing in a key. So when I provide the valid data, my username error will be blank. If I have not provided and if there is any problem, username error will be filled with some error message. Same thing is applicable for email, contact number, product error, comment error, and purchase date error. Errors object and its key and value is clear.
Yes, sir.
Priyanka, you there? Priyanka. Priya, you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Priya, what will be there? What will be the possibility of message or the value in contact number error? So what are all the possibilities of value for this key contact number error?
Invalid number.
Louder, please.
Invalid contact number.
And then 2 options are there.
Message provide the users means invalid contact.
Okay, invalid error. And then either it will have invalid contact
Blank.
number and what is another option?
Null.
Null, blank.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
So this contact number, where is it? Either it is having possibility, contact number cannot be left blank, invalid contact number. So if you take line number 20, my contact number error key, either it will hold this message or it holds invalid contact number error message, invalid contact, and the last option is
Null.
null. All of you, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So moving on to the next continuation, it's a function. So initially function is again calling 6 more function and it is holding either error message or blank. So then we are filtering out only empty error message. Errors, it's an object holding either error message or empty. Possibilities are there. What we are doing is we are taking object.values of errors. We are taking this errors and we are filtering. What is this object.values? Whomsoever I'm calling, tell me. Object.values. Abdul Karim. Do I introduce this function today or yesterday, day before yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
What is this object.values will do?
Object dot values means it is the wait, ma'am.
No, dear. Ashmita, you want to give a try? If you are with me from 2 o'clock, you can able to answer. If you are not following me, you are not with me with this demo, I'm sorry. Not even 2 o'clock. Some 3 only I started explaining this concept. Ashmita, I called your name. Priyanka, I called your name.
It is calling DOM function.
It is calling?
DOM function.
No. Ashmita. Ramya, you want to give a try? Surmani, you want to give a try?
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, object.values is the like the DOM object that we have created in the HTML body is been created in the DOM object, and it is taking the values of the callback function that we have created in
No,
errors.
dear, no, you are going in wrong track, incorrect track.
Only an object.
Swapnil, you want to give a try? No, wait. Siddharth, wait. Swapnil, you want to give a try?
It will carry the object which we have created for errors.
What? Something you said and you are on mute.
I'm not sure. So
okay, very good.
In key value pairs, all the values are the methods. The
It returns
function,
array values.
all the error values it returns and store it in error messages.
It is a simple conversion function. Object.values. I have introduced some time back. Please look into 6th line. I said object.from entries is used to convert any other type to object type. Likewise, object type can be converted to array by using object.values. Object.values will return an array. That is what I tried. I struggled for some time, and then no, instead of object, why can't I show you in an array? So that is the reason we got this key value pair in an object output. This is an array. So any type of input, any type of data can be converted to object with the help of object.from entries. Further to that, that can be converted to array by using object.values. Swapnil, Surmani, Priyanka, you got it?
It is in the form of array.
I have converted and an array and I'm storing in data one. That is why this data one is displaying an array format of data. Object.values is to convert to array format. It's an array. Any type of data will be converted to array format.
In this format, we give the feedback In earlier, we give the error.
No, earlier it's not error. I'm not getting the output. So I thought after that I didn't do anything, but I got I got an output. So in between, if the meantime I got struck, I thought, let me show you in an array type. So I tried this line. That is the reason we got this first and then this. This is an array format conversion data one, and this is the feedback thing. All of you got it? Now, Vivek Kumar, Surmani, Swapnil.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So now we are applying same to here. Why we want to apply? Because I have all the functions for array. So I am converting errors to array, and I am applying filter and all the values. If it is empty alone, it will be stored in error messages. We are filtering out empty error messages. Whichever the error message not equal to empty. So let's assume my product is empty. That I entered product. I entered comment. I entered purchase date. So these are all blank. So these are all filtered. And I will be getting this error messages alone in my error messages. Is that clear? Line number 27, not equal to. I know we are into core coding of JavaScript, but nothing is new. We have been traveling with same thing for last 4 days. Line number 27 is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Out of all the objects, we are filtering and we are getting not empty messages alone. Surmani, you there?
Ma'am.
Assume that I provided all valid data. So all the errors is empty. What will happen to error message?
Ma'am, empty array will be given.
That's all. Let's assume I provided all the details properly. All the 6 data are proper. All the details I'm providing. Do I have anything with this errors? Errors? In such situation, if you try to find out not equal to empty, at the time my error message also empty.
Yes, ma'am.
So after that, we are checking error message dot length is equal to 0. When every data is valid, all the 6 data is valid. I don't have error message at all. In such situation, you remember this feedbacks, the very first line array. In this array, or let me take actual data. So in this actual data, I am pushing all my input data and I am returning true. In such situation, in any of the situation, out of 6, 3 I don't have problem, but 3 resultant as error message. It will not go to if case. It will go to else. In this case, what I want to do? I want to call 2 methods. One is displaying validation summary. So it will display all the message. The other one is display individual error message. Are you with me? So I am checking only empty error, not equal to empty. If nothing is there, everything is empty, then my error message will be 0. Nothing is there in my error message array. So if nothing is there, I don't have a problem. My input data are correct. So via actual data, I can send this actual data to my server and I can process my registration. Else, out of 6, 3 are error. So those 3 error messages are there in my error messages array. In such situation, I want to call these 2 methods. You can understand by these method name. One is this summary, the other one is individual error message. So what I am doing in my summary is, so this error messages will have 3 error message. Assume like 3 is correct, 3 is error. So I want to display in a list format. So error message is an array. We are calling map and we are traversing all the array and we are displaying in a list. And we are calling for each, and every time this for each is appending the data in my list and the list items are getting displayed. And whatever I have in my list, that I am updating to my UL. What is UL? I have an HTML UL. Here it will display.
An order list.
All the summary. So all my summary will be displayed here. This is my UL. It can be 3. Let's assume first 3 are correct. So it needs to display only 3 messages in my validation summary. And whichever the 3 error message, same thing I want to display as an individual. So I am taking, let's go to individual. So what will happen to username error? It will be blank, empty. Email also empty, contact number also empty. Error messages will be empty. Whereas if I have problem with product, comment and purchase, those messages alone will be displayed against a small HTML element.
Ma'am?
Yes.
In fifth box, can you show input box, ma'am? Chrome. In fifth box, ma'am, downside left showing 2 lines. What is this, ma'am?
Which one?
Downside. Before command cannot be left blank. No, downside, yeah.
Comment cannot be left blank.
Here, ma'am.
What he is telling, sir?
The text box size.
Small.
Or comment boxes.
Extendable size.
No, I didn't get still.
Ma'am, in the comment box, it is showing at the top now, it's 2 lines showing. He's asking what is that?
This is the representation of text area. This is a default representation of text area so that I can expand. We automatically get when we include the tag called as text area. Rishikesh, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
If you convert what is that product also as text area, you will get the same.
Okay.
It's a default notation. I think both are same ID. Change it. Fair, you the experience, all those things. So one is the summary. I want to display in my HTML UL tag inside inner as an inner HTML. I want to display my list. So I may have 5 unordered list. In my in my HTML, if I have 5 unordered list tag, so in which tag you want to display, you want to pass this data, so that you can decide with the help of index. Can you see? So in my HTML element, I have first unordered list. There I want to append this, all the messages. So whereas, please look into line number 60, 62. What is this username error? Inner text. We are DOM. We are referring username error. What is this username error? Email error, contact number error. Can you relate line number 28, line number 32, 36?
The ID.
Yes, ma'am.
Small element, small element ID. So wherever I have small element, there I want to display this error message. Same thing is happening here. When I click submit, this is my validation summary and this is my individual message. Let's assume I provided correct data. So what will happen now? So that error messages of that username error will be blank. So that is why I'm not getting in summary also, I'm not getting in individual error also. So again, I'm scrolling from up. And you know what is the purpose of actual data? We haven't used actual data. But in later, once validation is done, if everything is proper, then I want to take this actual data and I want to store it in my, I want to send to server. So until otherwise, I will not send my data to my server. So that is the reason we are using actual data. So once no error message, then I am adding my input data to my actual data. Until otherwise, I will not submit. So we started with submit feedback method. And then from submit, we called submit data. From submit data, we created an errors object. And we have 6 key. For all the 6 key, values are getting retrieved from 6 methods. Either blank or error message. If it is blank, all blank, no problem. No problem. So in order to check whether all are blank or not, we are applying this filter function. Even I have one error, whether it will enter into if block.
No.
No. It will enter only if the length is 0. All are empty. None is filled with error. Only in that case, my actual data will be returned to my server. Until otherwise, it will stay in the same page with this error message. So once if I provided all the data, I need to change this date format. 07/08/2020. Until otherwise, it will not submit the data. Yes, Roshan. It seems like lengthy code, but it is not at all complex. It's not difficult, by the way. Where I am, only this date part alone, I'll get back to you guys. So I thought quickly to show you the split function. Split based on T. This part alone I'll work and I'll get back to you. So this date is taking only date, even though if it is taking date also, maximum should be only date. I should not take time. That is what it has been written. And maximum date should be today's date. New date of will take OS, operating system date. So always it takes today's date. So in today date, I want to take only ISO format. I want to take format before the letter T. So you will be finding this format. This is the format of ISO date. So I don't want after T. I want before T. So we are splitting and we are taking only 0th index. By the way, it will take only this date before T. And that I'm storing it in purchase date. Okay. So that's it for first example, validation. Any requested for break? We will go. Yes.
Ma'am, I have little confusion with Windows object and the object. Like does object is used for only conversion to the object, ma'am? Is it?
It is
the
not
basic-
associated with my event, window event.
And Windows object, ma'am. So the from entries will be converted into object. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Window, the word window indicates your form. Whereas you are asking about this thing.
Yes, ma'am. Only this object and the window object that we use, window dot, like using dot notation, that one.
Okay. So morning I have been discussing this event part. So Windows is something I can say this form, the entire HTML form.
Okay, ma'am.
On that form, I can perform some action. So that action I can handle with Windows dot, the respective event. Whereas this is just a conversion block. This is associated with this our OOPS methodology, our regular object class. This is a class category, that is an event category. I can say, what is an exact term I can use for let's okay. Can you see my notepad or can you see my paint?
Yes, ma'am.
So
No,
we can
in
say
the
this is a complete. You take my paint application or you take my notepad. When it comes to GUI, this entire screen we can call it as frame or form or windows.
Yes, ma'am.
Whereas here the thing which I have used is my OOPS class.
Yes, ma'am.
And mostly we will use that windows.onload, windows.onRefresh, windows.onInit for event handling. This is pure programming part. And by the way, we have this flexibility. No rules, much rule in JavaScript. So
Is it somewhat similar to the way we use new keyword in the Java and it's converted into object?
Correct. But we have, that's what JavaScript will not comes under a strict rule. So we have that flexibility. So we are not, even sometimes I'll keep semicolon, sometimes I'll not keep semicolon, sometimes I'll not use double quotes. So I can use directly. Yeah, the new keyword is, even though it's not applicable, but it is an object. You imagine like new keyword.
Okay, so if from entries were to be programmed in Java, then we will use new from entries same way, but in JavaScript we are using object.framework. Okay, ma'am.
And we also have predefined class called as object. That object is applicable for Java as well as here. So that object class is having some static members. Those static members can be called with this object.
So ma'am, from entries is like, okay, it's some function. Okay.
These are all functions. That's what I said, conversion function.
Okay. And so ma'am, about window object, like, isn't it similar to the, like what we use document object also? Like
Windows also an object. Windows is also having methods, but here we will use for event handling. Something is happening on my Windows, then I will use those respective methods.
We can't use any tag element also with the window object.
We have some predefined methods associated with this window object. Okay, explore on.
Okay.
If I get some materials, I'll share with you. But even still now, I haven't related with that. Because versus topic, this Windows object and that object, no, I usually will not do, because maybe your thinking is going in this way, but I'll give you some materials for your self-reference.
Okay, thank you.
So we will continue with the same topic, validation, and we have one more small topic for the day. That's all. Yeah. before that, let's go on an evening break. So you can take a break of 10 minutes and come back at 4:45. See you after break. Please confirm that you are all back. Basics are there. Total 34. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 2 are missing, Asif.
I'll check, Sangeeta.
I'm lowering, by the way, I'm lowering the hand so that it would be helpful for you. Abhilash, Roshan, Rusikesh, Shurmani, are you back from break? Abhilash, Roshan, Rusikesh. No problem. I'm lowering all your hands. So guys, we have one more small topic for today. Please pay attention. It's a small topic. After validation, we have this enhance user experience. Whenever if you are in form tag of HTML, some common issues we are facing is long scrolling. When we will get long scrolling, guys, when we will do the long scrolling, am I audible? When you are in HTML form tag, so when you will do the scroll down, long scroll down,
when there are any instructions,
when they are instruction to read, and the form consists of many input elements. Got it? When I'm having many input elements, missing out critical inputs. So there will be a big registration form, but I will miss the most important thing, which is email ID or mobile number. Incorrect input, difficulty in locating erroneous input. If it is a big form, finding even I experienced this. So when I'm about to fill this job portal, they may ask my academic details. So I'm telling, when they will be asking in detail our academic background, UG major, year of passing, PG, and its year of passing. So I may miss this UG year of passing or UG percentage, the stream, chances are there. And definitely it will end up in poor readability. To overcome these common problems, we are creating something called as Fly. On a job portal, depend upon the requirement, we will add a field. Let's assume the 28 of us are visiting Naukri. Out of 28, some 6-7 of us will be having a work experience. Remaining all are fresher. In such situation, do I want to enable work experience options? Work experience, number of years, company name, designation, last drawn salary. Is it required?
no, ma'am.
Instead, what you can do, but I also will enter Naukri. I and Hasib and whomsoever having experience will be also using Naukri, but we have a experience. For few, there is no work experience requirement. Details needs to be provided. So, but for few, need to provide. So what we can do, instead of having a very big form, I may have one checkbox. So what I can give? So do you have work experience or not? Same thing we can give with, oh my God, this end region is coming. We can give radio button. What will happen if I give, yes, I have work experience. If I give S, what will happen? Then it should ask. If I give S, then it should ask everything. Total years. What else? Company name.
Year of experience. Salary.
That salary, last drawn salary. And day, from when to when? From when and to? If I provide no, anything is required?
No, ma'am.
Nothing. Or I don't want to keep no at all. So this option is called as fly. I'll show you. We have the next demo. Same registration form. They have added one more label and a checkbox. Would you like to subscribe to our mailing list? If I check, they will be providing the option. This concept is called as fly. So fly will helps in tracking the correct requirement of data, and it helps in avoiding the lengthy form, and there will not be any ambiguity in filling the form details. So what is happening when I check this checkbox, I'm getting additional one div message and 3 more checkbox or whatever. So like what we discussed, if I give work experience as yes, then it should give all the details. Same thing is applicable for PG. So have you done PG? Yes or no? If you have done PG, then it will ask what is the major, year of passing, and the percentage. So we can avoid this lengthy form, avoid the confusion of data between different users by creating form. Toggle elements of form element. Depend upon the requirement, you can show and hide the elements for relevant input. So DOM manipulation helps you to add an element on fly, either toggling elements, show or hide. The execution is triggered by event, nothing to do. So here tell me what event is happening. Check. What is the event happening here? Checked event. So when this event got triggered, so this concept can be done only with the help of event handling. If some event is happening, checkbox, radio button, or selecting the option on select box, based on that I need to display. Execution is triggered by an event. Please relate to the technical topic. It is triggered by an event and it is handling by event handler. So when the user clicks the button, click event is there. Event listener, listened by event listener. This particular button can be when we go to the respective function only with the help of listener. Based on that, we will do a fly or hide or show the inner elements. That's all. Let's have a discussion on that checkbox and hiding and displaying the inner element. So validation can be done only through the basic functionality is implemented. These are all some myths. So we have some myths on validation. So validation can be done once the base functionality is implemented. Is it or not? So always we need to perform the validation once the basic functionality is implemented. Come on, guys, yes or no? So
No.
So if I perform a validation, so I should ensure certain inputs has been provided. And once the input has been provided, I have to keep track of all the validation. Even if you miss out one single validation, it may be end up with wrong data submission to the server. So be careful. Only critical input should be validated to reduce code executions. So not only critical input, all the inputs are required. So everything you can handle with validation. Error message should be short. So keep this in mind. Someone asked about this exclamatory mark star symbol. So instead of having a lengthy error message, always prefer short error message so that you will have a clean UI so that the user also will able to understand. So follow all these rules when you are into validation. And with this demo, we are ending. Let me go back to my Visual Studio. Can we discuss on the JavaScript coding part of this? Showing and hiding the elements based on this event?
Yes, sure.
So with this fourth topic is getting over. So let me go one business. Where is my Visual Studio? This is second demo. Nothing new. So starting from form tag, everything remains same. This is my validation summary div where I have user list. This is my first list. So UL of 0, my first text box, second text box, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and my summary and a button. So before button, so please look into line number 49. Yeah. So from line number 49 to 63 is new. So when I check this checkbox, would you like to subscribe to our mailing list checkbox? Would you like to subscribe to our mailing list checkbox? And the checkbox ID is check allow subscription. Shall I go to this check allow subscription? Where I am, yeah. So till 138, we already discussed. So I'm just going to this checkbox. So check allow subscription is equal to, so we are just holding the same everything in a variable. Document dot get element ID by check allow subscription. So check allow subscription dot add event listener. What event I'm gonna to try?
Click.
So click event or checked event, everything is applicable. So when the event is performed, what I need to do? I can do it with function also. I can do it with arrow function also. So they are doing with arrow function. So this is an event, and when event is performed, event is gonna to pass as a parameter. So when this is clicked, what event is gonna to pass? I'm passing it as a parameter. Inside function body, I am taking this checkbox and I am checking whether it is checked or not. So whether it is checked, document dot get element ID by subscription detailed block. I'll go back here. So I have check allow subscription. Likewise, I have subscription detailed block. Can you see here? My one another inner div tag. And I have so many inner div tag. So subscription detailed block. Only two things. I want you to refer this check allow subscription and subscription detailed block. So by default, subscription detailed block display is, what is the property they are providing? Initially, when I'm loading the page, that inner block will be, what is the display property? None. That is why it has been hidden. Once if I check, when some click event, when event is getting performed and I am performing this checked event, I want to display it, block display. Else I want to do none display. So when I check, so that is block display, else display is none. Okay. You can, this is not the only way. You can try with regular function call and you can perform this. So instead of having a function binding to that event, you can do everything with the help of interface, listener interface. The event is passing and the event is checked event. Can you relate with the output? Can you able to relate with the DOM and the event? I know it's Friday evening, but this is a simple topic.
Yes, ma'am.
Please relate. I'm sharing this. We have one sprint for today. And it is, I think this one. Develop UI to fetch and display. Sorry. No. 1 minute. The first one. Validate inputs captured for contact form. We have only one sprint for the day, same validation. So they have provided with CSS, HTML. You no need to start from scratch. You need to work on only your JS. So below is the image of UI of contact form. See here, there is a contact form. We handled with 6 data, but there we have first name, last name, email, contact number. You find anything new here, this toggle option. If they click this button, then see what is happening. And birth date, company name, job title, and a button. You have to provide validation, that's all. So validation criteria. So mandatory first name, email, whom contact number has to be provided. First name and last name should allow only alphabets and dot. So contact number. So either you can have 2 contact number. One is for home, other one is for work. And hope you know, even this format I will share except this +91. So we have tried only for 10 digit. Additionally, you need to add this +910. This validation you have to perform. Email ID is as usual. It should have the proper format. Birth dates for which age is less than 15 should be disabled. Is it possible? Will you able to make this?
Yes, ma'am.
So whomever age is less than 15, we are in 2022. So whomever born after 2018 and 2008, sorry. 8 or 7, 8. Before 2008. So when I entered date of birth of last year or 2011-12, it should not accept. And like comments in our demo, here the note should not allow more than 200 characters. For clone, you have to write only script.js. Everything has been provided. No other code gets modified. So in order to check the output, you can view index.html. So you no need to start from scratch. They already provided all your HTML. Can you see? Line number 25.
Yes, ma'am.
So I tried submit. In our demo, I changed some method. Submit feedback. So here it is submit contact. And same, these are all same. Here under validation summary, you need to fill the respective error message. And we have first name, last name, small tag, everything is there. Additionally, you need to add this fly option. When they click plus, it should throw what? That work contact number and the other thing, new one. And remaining all are same, and you will be having button. They already related with JavaScript. You only needs to work on your JS file. So I will share the demo code which we discussed. So using that as a reference, complete this sprint. And we will take a stock. So please update your Excel sheet. So based on your completion of HTML and HTML, CSS and JavaScript, please update. Today evening, I will take a stock. So even in HTML, certain data, see this mastery challenge and column drop. Okay, I'll take a stock by tomorrow morning, utilize today and complete it. Those who are with 10, 9, 8, complete it. Complete it, and as soon as you update, because I'm not contacting you, I'm contacting only this Google Sheet, I'm fetching the data. So that's it.